everyone, and welcome back to Cascapades, the Traveller's Scratchpad, your weekly vlog about all things cruising. We cover ship tours, cabin tours, daily vlogs, and cruise topics. Today we're continuing our series on cruise ship loyalty programs, and today's episode is the best of British. We'll be covering both P&O and also Cunard. So let's talk about P&O. P&O Cruises is one of the oldest cruise lines in the world, starting off in the UK as the Peninsular and Oriental Company, and that is what P&O stand for. Not many people know that, but yeah, P&O was the original line in the UK, and it's a very interesting cruise line, obviously aimed specifically at the UK passenger. It's created with British culture in mind, from the afternoon teas to just the way that service is and the way that dinner is, things like that. Very, very British experience. All of the ships have an A at the end for some reason. So Britannia, Avia, Iona, Ventura, Azura, for example. And the loyalty program aboard P&O is known as the Peninsular Club. You join automatically at the Peninsular Club after you've spent 15 nights aboard a P&O cruise ship. So unlike a lot of the other lines which we've covered, you don't get to be part of the club until you have sailed. I have only sailed on 10 nights aboard P&O, so I'm still not a member of this loyalty program, even though I would be going on my third cruise with them, the next one I book. So after those 50 nights aboard, you will earn more points every time you sail, and depending on your total, you'll be in one of 6 tiers that enjoy different rewards. So for every night you spend aboard a P&O cruise, you gain 10 loyalty points. This means that once you've joined the club, you've completed the 15 nights of sailing, but you only join the club once that cruise is completed. So if you've been on 2 7-night cruises and you book a third, you don't get rewards on the first night. You have to wait until the next cruise you book, because it doesn't work the same way that Carnival does, where, for example, that third cruise would actually, you'd be grandfathered in almost into the next tier. Points don't expire though, and you don't need to rush to build them up or to use them or anything like that. And all your members of your cabin will get points. Even if you're traveling with an infant, they will start building points. And I've seen some people who are teenagers and already in like high tiers because they went sailing before they were even aware of being on a cruise, which is great, and it's a nice little treat for them when they grow older. So let's talk about the different loyalty levels and how you get there. So the first tier is the Pacific tier. You need 150 points, and this lasts until you've got 500 points. You then have Atlantic, Mediterranean, Caribbean, Baltic, and Ligurian. So they go up sort of roughly every 50 days or so, and then up to 100 days from Mediterranean onwards, but we'll cover that further as we go. So the first tier, Pacific tier, you get a nice few perks here. You get a magazine that's sent to your home, so it's not something that you just get in the emails. You get an actual physical magazine delivered to your home. You get a dedicated hotline for booking cruises, so specifically for people who are in the Peninsular Club, and you get an exclusive 5% discount that was applied to all of these cruises. You have a 5% discount on all onboard spends, a dedicated loyalty manager on board for booking your next cruise while you're still on the ship, and gifts for any guests under 17. So the kids get a nice little gift for sailing as long as they're in the Pacific Club. Now, obviously, these rewards are very basic and very cheap for the cruise line to provide, although the 5% cruise discount can be really appealing. And obviously, this is for guests that haven't really sailed that much. And considering most people who travel P&O will travel either regularly on short cruises or regularly sort of once a year vacations with their family on 7 or longer night cruises. Atlantic tier is next, and the Atlantic tier is for those who have spent more than 50 nights at sea. So if you like to do the longer cruises, so for example P&O do a lot of sort of Mediterranean 14 nights, they also do sort of Europe cruises that do sort of 14 to 24 nights, they do Caribbean cruises that sail sometimes from the UK all the way out there, so it's a very long cruise. You can get that tier quite quickly. You get an extra 2.5% discount on your onboard spend, so that brings it up to 7.5%. You get a glass of champagne on the arrival to your cruise, which is lovely, and an Atlantic tier pin. The ashore benefits are also identical to Pacific, but you do get those different little bits and pieces, and that free glass of champagne is a lovely way to start your trip. Mediterranean tier, this is where things get a little bit better. So you get an extra 1% onboard spend, so it only brings it up to 8.5%. You are invited as well to a cocktail party on cruises of 8 nights or longer, and you get some, drum roll please, P&O Cruises slippers. Yes. Now it's not a huge amount extra, in my opinion, to go from Pacific and Atlantic to go into the Mediterranean tier, but it's slippers. The next is the Caribbean or Caribbean tier, depending on what side of the pond you fall on. And this is when you've cruised on 200 nights or more on P&O. Gets all of the benefits that I've mentioned before, plus a 10% discount on bespoke P&O Cruises travel insurance. So that's insurance that they recommend and guarantee through booking with them. Priority booking, so you can make sure you get your chosen cabin before it goes on to sort of general sale. An annual gift sent to your home, whether you're cruising or not, just to thank you for being a member. Priority arrival time allocation, so you get to be one of the first people getting onto the ship. Priority check-in, when you actually get to the dock and you can get on board. And a welcome on board reception, which is lovely. A nice little party and gathering for people in that tier. Also, your onboard spend discount goes up to 10%. And instead of a free glass of champagne, you get a half bottle per cabin. An officer-hosted fine dining event on cruises of 8 nights or more are offered as well. So you'll be able to go and meet the captain and the officers. And I've seen a lot more people lately asking about this, especially on P&O forums and chats. It seems to be a very British thing to want to spend time with the officers and know who your captain is and who your first officer is. Whereas for me, that's never been something that's even crossed my mind. It's not that I don't care about those people. They're very important people and they work really hard, but it's not something that I really interact with as part of my trip. And I sort of see the crew, the nautical crew on board as very separate part of the trip to my sort of customer facing people. So yeah. The next tier is Baltic Tier. Now this is where things get a little bit more confusing because you don't qualify just from points. As well as needing 2,501 or more Peninsula Club points, you also must have spent between 80 and 200 nights on a P&O cruise within the prior 3 years. So that's very confusing. So for example, an example I found online was that if you book a cruise for say the 1st of July 2023, you'll need to have 2,501 or more points and sailed more than 80 nights between the 1st of July 2020 and the 30th of June 2023. If not, you drop down back to the Caribbean tier. Things that this adds is you get priority disembarkation, priority to book seats on Caribbean fly cruise flights, and 50% discount on your machine washable laundry. There's not many people in that tier because people will have dropped down a lot during COVID. But it is still a thing. Ligurian Tier is the final tier. It's exclusive. It's for guests who have sailed for more than 2,501 points and have cruised for 200 nights or more in the last 3 years. This adds invitation to inaugural events. So if you're wanting to go, for example, to the celebration of the naming of the new ships, things like that, you get to get invited to those. Use of a hospitality lounge in the home port. Generally, they sail out of Southampton. Earliest time slots for embarkation, so you can get on the ship first. Early access to your cabin. Complimentary formal attire pressing, so you can have your suits and dresses all pressed freshly for you. Now this is great because, as I said, you get the invitation to come and meet the new ships before anyone else. You can actually go on board the ship as well at times, and that would be really great. And a nice little fact here is that to enter the Ligurian Tier, the average person would need to spend 18% of their life on board a P&O cruise ship. I would say that would be the life, but P&O is not my favourite cruise line. So if I was going to spend 18% of my life on board a cruise ship, I would choose probably either a Princess ship or a Norwegian ship. What about you? I'd love to know what you would choose if you had to spend 18% of your life on one line. Let me know. So to join, as I said, you would need nothing more than to have sailed for 50 nights or more, and then on your next cruise, you would be a member of the cruise family, the Peninsular cruise. Now, there is no link. Obviously, P&O is part of the bigger Carnival line. Just like with Carnival and Princess, all of these other lines, you cannot transfer your points to other lines within Carnival, which is a shame. It used to be that you could get P&O and Princess and share them between them, but that is now ended. Obviously, there is the one exception, which I've mentioned a couple of times before, which was with MSC. With their Voyagers Club, they do status match you with other lines you've been on, and there's a chart you can find online which will show you what tier each other cruise line converts to. I recently used my gold status with Carnival to get put into silver status with MSC. But that will drop down if I do not use an MSC cruise again within the next 3 years, I believe. So that's something to consider. Now, if you're still paying attention to this British extravaganza, we're going to look at Cunard. Now, Cunard is world famous. Even if you hadn't heard the name Cunard, you would have heard of ships such as the Queen Elizabeth, Queen Mary II, or Queen Victoria. These ships are beautiful and upscale and premium. And Cunard is known for being very unique and catering to these upscale elite visitors who appreciate not parties and deck sailaways and all of that. They don't want DJs, they want afternoon tea, beautiful ocean views, and dressing up for every occasion. People who are loyal to Cunard do get some amazing perks in the Cunard World Club, although they are at the high tier and compared to other lines, less impressive. And I think that's mainly because the people who will sail Cunard are going to be loyal anyway. They don't need persuading because there's really not many lines that compete or compare, especially for the British market. I think if you're going to look at cruise lines that would compare, you'd be looking at some of the luxury lines in the US, such as Azamara, Seabourn, used to be Crystal, and Regent Silver Seas as well. These are all very sort of up there cruise lines. But for the British market, Cunard is the one. Cunard's loyalty system, though not impressive necessarily, is quite easy to navigate and elevates you to one of 4 tiers, silver, gold, platinum, and diamond. So you're a silver program member as soon as you've had 1 voyage, gold after 2 voyages or 20 nights, platinum after 7 voyages or 70 nights, and diamond after 15 voyages or 150 nights. All changes in status occur after the sailing, no mid-sailing sort of upgrades. So let's talk about these levels. So at silver level, you get member savings and special offers sent directly to you via mail and email. You have a World Club desk in all international offices, so you'll be able to visit those and call them as well. An onboard loyalty representative that will help you book your future cruises while on board and give you some great deals. And the Cunard Magazine. Now, these are a magazine that gets sent to your home, and it's specifically for all members from silver level and higher. So you will generally only spend 1 cruise at silver level before you get to the gold level. And this gets all of the stuff I've mentioned before, plus a gold membership pin, 2 hours of complimentary internet on every cruise, and an invitation to a Cunard World Club cocktail party on all sailings 6 nights or longer. So that's, as I say, it's basic, but nice little perks to look forward to. Platinum tier is next, and that has everything I've mentioned before. Now the pin you get is platinum rather than gold, just to show the difference between those. Your complimentary internet is 4 hours instead of 2. You still get to go to that cocktail party. You now get a 20% discount on all onboard laundry as well as dry cleaning, which is great considering you have to take your suit. A little known fact for Cunard, if you hadn't been before, is every night is a night you have to wear a jacket. You cannot go to the main dining room with just a formal shirt and trousers. You have to wear a suit jacket and most likely a tie. It's formal to the extreme, and that's how the people who sail Cunard like it. You get priority check-in at their 2 main terminals in New York and Southampton, access to private disembarkation lounge, and a complimentary wine tasting on board as well. 10% discount on the White Star luggage service, and an invitation on 6 night or longer cruises to a senior officers party. Now let's talk about the ultimate pinnacle of Cunard, the diamond reward level. You get all of the stuff I've mentioned before. Your pin is of course a diamond membership pin. Your complimentary internet is upgraded to 8 hours, and you get to that cocktail party of course. 20% discount on laundry and dry cleaning. They've still got the priority check-in at both of those main terminals. Wine tasting, luggage discount, all of that. But you now also get 1 complimentary meal in an extra fee dining venue. And that could be like their steakhouse or one of their other paid for cruise line venues. You also get priority appointment with the cruise sales representative, so you'll be able to book future cruises there. Now, as I said, I don't believe Cunard's perks are the best. There are some interesting ones there, but I don't feel that they need to retain people the way that other lines do. When you think about Carnival, Norwegian, Royal Caribbean, MSC, these are all lines that are competing for the same markets. Granted, they all have their own thing. Carnival, the party line, Royal Caribbean, the family line, for example, they are still competing to be the big ship resort style vacations, and so they do have to fight a little bit to keep their fans loyal, to keep them from wandering to another line whenever they see a good deal. And let's be real, we often do. You could be loyal to Carnival like I used to be, and then eventually you're going to see a deal on Norwegian, on MSC that's too good to pass up, and you think, I'll give them a try. And this is where other lines sort of end up poaching people, or you get people who don't have loyalty anymore and they're building up status with lots of lines. But Cunard, it really is peerless, and so they don't have to try as hard to keep people, because once you've had that White Star service and you've enjoyed it and you like it, you can't necessarily go back. And a lot of people will only sail with Cunard from there on out. I've seen a lot of people, for example, sail with P&O thinking, oh, it's luxury, it's British, and then complaining that P&O is seeming more and more like a resort-style cruise line nowadays, but aimed at the British market. And so they're thinking, it's not quite the premium elite status that I want to have, and so they're going to Cunard and staying. Now, the difference between Cunard and some of these other lines is it only has 3 ships, with a 4th on the way, and they do tend to sail very, very limited destinations, apart from the occasional ones where they do world cruises and long sort of extraordinary journeys cruises. Generally, you'll find short cruises from Southampton to New York, as well as some shorter stops around Europe. So that was the British equivalent of all of the other cruise line episodes I've done before. Coming up in this series, we have a joint of, we're going to call it the Mediterranean lines, and that is MSC and Costa, which we were covering in the future episodes. Also coming up soon on the vlog are my vlogs on MSC Virtuosa, which will be a ship tour, a cabin tour of a premium obstructed balcony. We'll also have the daily vlogs from that cruise covering Embarkation Day, Rotterdam Day, Cherbourg Day, and of course, we will then be talking about the Carnival Pride. I've been going on about it for weeks. It's a dream cruise for me, and it's something that I'm really looking forward to and finally seeing Norway, and I hope you'll come along for the ride. Until then though, see you next Sunday and stay safe.